they're going to be inviting kids to their home for Shabbat. These are Christian missionaries. They're not Jewish. They're evangelicals that have infiltrated the Jewish community. I have a very urgent alert to send out to all of you. The Dawson family that goes by the name Isaacson is here in the heart of Jerusalem, and they're inviting seminary girls to their home for Shabbat. Let's review very carefully. The Dawson family, these are evangelical Christians. They're not Jewish. They have no Jewish heritage at all. The father's name is Michael. The wife's name goes by the name Chavi. Her name is Summer. They have a son, Kalev, a daughter, Chen. They started their rampage in the Jewish community back in Portland, Oregon, back in 2010, and infiltrated the Jewish community. Thankfully, converts to the Jewish faith recognized them from the church and alerted the community in Portland, Oregon about their presence, and they fled. They wound up in Dallas, Texas. There they sought the parents, that means Michael and Chavi, sought out an Orthodox wedding. The point was the paperwork. The point was the ketubah, the marriage contract, which they would use very effectively as they would move on to Houston serving in all sorts of capacities as overseeing kashrut, all sorts of stuff going on. Moves on to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The community in Milwaukee is aware of the fact that they've got missionaries on their hands and they're outed. They then move on to Phoenix, Arizona, where their name is changed, Isaacson. This family looks like Hasidic Jews. This family looks like Haredim. This family looks very, very religious. Well, this was a problem that had metastasized in the United States, but now they have arrived here in Israel. Not just Israel, but they're here in Jerusalem. And they're here in Jerusalem posing as very religious Jews. They live in Nachlaot, a neighborhood that's essentially in the heart of Jerusalem, maybe a 20-minute walk from the old city. And they have been inviting girls from the seminaries. Seminaries are schools for our post-high school programs for young women who come to Israel to study before they return back to the United States for further education or moving on in their lives. What's happened is that the family has invited girls successfully to come to their home Friday evening. The family's hoping that their son, specifically Kalev, could find a wife here, that Kalev can get documents here, that the family could somehow make aliyah here, that this family can somehow infiltrate the Jewish community here. Last Sabbath, a whole bunch of young girls, post-high school young women, were invited to their home and nearly went there. And shortly before the Shabbat, the school was alerted that this family that they were about to visit were really Christian, not just Christians, but missionaries posing as religious Jews, and the girls had to find other homes to stay at, okay? If you have children who are in seminary, who are in yeshiva studying here in Israel, you need to be aware of where your kids are going for the Sabbath to visit for meals. It's very striking that the parents actually have training in acting in their former life, and they're apparently using it very effectively. The kids essentially grew up in this whole masquerade. They're all very knowledgeable. They're capable of writing mezuzot. They're capable of writing all kinds of Jewish documents. They're capable of doing Jewish slaughter. They're capable of doing a tahira, which means the ritual on the dead. They're thoroughly engrossed in Jewish law and practice, and they can walk the walk, talk the talk. So you need to be aware in schools, you need to be aware of where your kids are going for Shabbat, because this family is in the heart of Nachlot. Just bear in mind, this is not like some sort of circus act. What the Isaacsons, that's how they're known. It's really the Dawson family. What this family is doing is they're simply taking one iteration of the Messianic movements and amping it. The whole point of the Messianic movement, the Jews for Jesus movement, is to convey that you don't have to leave Judaism. You can retain your Jewish identity, Jewish culture, while believing in Jesus as the Messiah. The Messianic movement, you may not realize, is not monolithic. It has many iterations from within. Some Messianic congregations, people don't dress that part all the time. Some do. Some dress like this. To the schools, be careful where you send your kids for the Shabbat. And for the Jewish community, it's vital to be aware of the missionaries that are targeting you for conversion by blurring the distinctions between Judaism and Christianity in order to lure Jews who would otherwise resist a straightforward Christian message.